Tell me honestly, how many times today did you think that your life isn't good enough? That other people somehow manage better, earn more, look younger, travel more often? You don't say this out loud, you rarely even admit it to yourself. But you feel the constant pressure. As if there's some secret formula for successful living that everyone knows except you. And every day you search for this formula in other people's stories, in bloggers' advice, in self-help books. You try to create the perfect daily routine, buy the right things, form useful habits. But the more you try, the more you feel that something's wrong. As if you're playing a game whose rules keep changing. And worst of all, you start to suspect that the problem is you. But what if I told you that you're not losing? That you're just playing the wrong game. A game that wasn't created for you to win, but for you to never stop playing. The perfect life is the most successful marketing product of all time. It's not sold directly, it's sold through feelings of inadequacy, through your need to be better than you are right now. Look around you. Every advertisement, every social media post, every article about success, all of this works on one principle. First, they show you how imperfect your current life is, then they offer a solution. Want to be healthier? Here are 47 superfoods without which you'll die from toxins. Want to be more productive? Here's a billionaire's morning routine that will change your life in 30 days. Want to be happier? Here are mantras and practices that guarantee to lead you to enlightenment. Harvard Business School research showed that the average person encounters 5,000 advertising messages daily. 5,000 ways to tell you that you're not good enough as you are. But the sneakiest trick isn't in advertising. The sneakiest trick is that you've been taught to believe, if you don't strive for better, you're lazy. If you don't optimize your life, you're wasting time. If you're not constantly growing, you're degrading. Now the most important thing. This system doesn't work because you're naive. It works because it hits your deepest wound, the fear of being insufficient. This fear has lived in you since childhood, when parents compared you to other children, when grades at school determined your worth. When success at university was measured by rankings and scholarships, you've been taught since childhood that love must be earned through achievements. And now you're an adult, but the same mechanism works. You subconsciously believe that if you're not successful enough, you won't be loved, won't be approved of, won't be accepted. That's why you buy into all these transformation promises, not because you really want to change, but because you're afraid to remain as you are. Because if you're good enough as you are, then why do you need all these improvements? When psychologist Tim Kasser studied people focused on external goals, money, fame, image, he found that they have lower levels of happiness and higher levels of anxiety, regardless of whether they achieve these goals or not. Do you understand? Even if you achieve that perfect life you're chasing, you won't become happier. Because the problem isn't the lack of achievements. The problem is that you're looking outside for what only inner self-acceptance can give. But the most horrifying thing is that they've created an entire industry from your inadequacy. A billion-dollar industry that exists only because you never feel good enough. Look at the numbers. The self-help market in 2023 was valued at $13.2 billion. The fitness industry, $96 billion. The cosmetics industry, $511 billion. These aren't just big numbers. This is an economy built on your dissatisfaction with yourself. Each of these industries works according to one scheme: create an ideal, show how far you are from it, and sell you a solution. And when you buy one solution and realize it doesn't work, they'll offer you another. Diet doesn't work. Try intermittent fasting. Meditation doesn't work. Try cold showers. Minimalism doesn't work. Try productivity. There's always the next trend, the next method, the next opportunity to become perfect. And you know what's most cynical? These industries know their solutions don't work long-term. Research shows that 95% of diets don't provide lasting results. 80% of New Year's resolutions are broken by February. 70% of people who buy gym memberships stop going within 3 months. But this isn't a problem for the industry. It's their business model. They don't make money from your success. They make money from your hope for success, from your belief that the next attempt will be more successful. And now the most powerful tool of this system, social media. They've turned the search for perfect life into a daily ritual of comparing yourself to others. Every morning you open Instagram and see perfect breakfasts, perfect bodies, perfect travels. You know it's filtered, you know it's staged, but this doesn't stop you from feeling your own inadequacy. Research by King's College London found that people who spend more than 2 hours a day on social media have a 70% higher risk of developing depression symptoms. Not because social media itself is depressing, but because it creates unrealistic standards for comparison. You look at other people's highlights and compare them to your behind the scenes. You see the result of others' work and compare it to your process. You see perfectly curated moments and compare them to your ordinary days. And worst of all, you start planning your life not for yourself, but for content. You don't eat, you photograph food. You don't travel, you create stories. You don't experience moments, you think about how to present them better. Professor Sherry Turkle from MIT called this living for an audience. When you stop living for yourself and start living for those who might see and evaluate you. But why does all this affect us so strongly? Why can't we just ignore other people's lives and live our own? The answer lies in our brain. Evolution created us as social beings who survived through belonging to a group. Being expelled from the tribe meant death. So our brain developed a powerful system of social comparison. Research by neuroscientists at the University of California showed that when we see someone else's success, the same areas of our brain activate as during physical pain. Literally, others' success physically hurts. And when we receive likes, comments, or approval, the brain releases dopamine, the same hormone released by drugs. We are literally addicted to social approval. Now imagine, you live in a world where you see thousands of examples of others' success daily, which physically hurts, and at the same time depend on social approval, which works like a drug. This is the perfect formula for psychological addiction. Your Stone Age brain doesn't understand that those people on Instagram aren't your tribe. It doesn't understand that their success doesn't threaten your survival. It simply reacts with pain to others' achievements and satisfaction to others' approval. And this is how the cruelest cycle of modern life is created. You set standards for yourself based on what you see in others. You don't achieve them because they're unrealistic. You feel like a failure. You look for new ways to improve. You set even higher standards. Psychologist Albert Bandura called this unrealistic self-efficacy standards, when your expectations of yourself are based not on your capabilities, but on others' results. You want to have a body like a fitness blogger, but don't account for their genetics, personal trainer, and Photoshop. You want to earn like an entrepreneur from YouTube, but don't see their 10 years of failures before success. You want to travel like a travel blogger, but don't know about their debts and sponsorship contracts. University of Pennsylvania research showed that people systematically overestimate others' happiness and life satisfaction by 15 to 20%. We literally think everyone around us is happier than we are, and you know why. Because nobody posts their problems. Nobody shares their fears, doubts, failures. Nobody shows what real life looks like between posts. You compare your full picture with others' fragments, your weaknesses with others' strengths, your internal experiences with others' external achievements. The most terrible thing is that in this chase for perfect life, you lose the most valuable thing, your true self. You stop listening to your own needs and start orienting yourself to external standards. You don't ask yourself, what do I want? But what should I want? You don't think, what brings me joy? But what looks successful? Philosopher Charles Taylor called this the crisis of authenticity. When people live not their own life, but the life they think others expect from them. You choose a career not by calling, but by prestige. You buy things not by need, but by status. You plan vacations not for pleasure, but for photos. Even hobbies you choose not by interest, but by how right they look. Research by psychologists at the University of Rochester showed that people who live according to external standards have significantly lower levels of psychological well-being, even if they're successful by those standards. Do you understand the paradox? Even if you achieve that perfect life you're chasing, you won't become happier, because it's not your life. It's a life imposed on you as an ideal. You spend your real life chasing someone else's ideal. And when you finally stop and look around, you realize you've lived not your life, but someone's idea of what it should be. Stop for a second. Think honestly. When was the last time you did something just because you wanted to? Not because it's useful, productive, or looks good, just because it brought you joy. Can't remember. That's the problem. You've become so used to living by others' rules that you've forgotten how your own voice sounds. So caught up in optimizing life that you stopped living it. So focused on becoming better that you forgot to value who you are now. And the most painful thing, you do this to yourself. Nobody forces you. You voluntarily give your life as collateral to others' expectations. Every morning you wake up thinking not how do I want to live this day, but what should I do to become better? Every evening you go to bed feeling that you didn't do enough, didn't achieve enough, didn't improve enough. This isn't life. This is an endless exam you've created for yourself. An exam where it's impossible to get the highest grade because the standards keep rising. And the most tragic thing is that while you're so diligently trying to become someone else, life passes by. Real life, with all its imperfections, but also with all its beauty. You're so afraid of living wrong that you forget to live at all. But what if I told you there's another way? A way of living that doesn't require constant self-improvement, comparison with others, or chasing unattainable ideals. This isn't about stopping growth or development. This is about doing it from love for yourself, not from hatred of who you are now. The Japanese have a concept of wabi-sabi, the beauty of imperfection. The idea that the most beautiful thing in life is precisely that it's imperfect, changeable, unfinished. Danish psychologists studied the phenomenon of hygge, simple pleasure from ordinary moments. It turned out that people who can find joy in simple things have significantly higher levels of life satisfaction than those who strive for great achievements. This isn't about laziness or lack of ambition. This is about understanding the difference between healthy growth and destructive obsession with self-improvement. Healthy growth happens naturally when you do what interests you. Destructive obsession, when you force yourself to do what's right. Healthy growth brings joy from the process. Destructive obsession, only temporary relief from achieving results. Healthy growth preserves your personality. Destructive obsession tries to change it. So how do you escape this trap? How do you stop living someone else's life and start living your own? First of all, stop. Not in the sense of stop doing, but in the sense of stop chasing. Give yourself permission to be who you are now. Not as a transitional stage to a better version of yourself, but as a complete person. Secondly, limit consumption of others' perfect lives. Research shows that even a week-long break from social media significantly improves psychological well-being, not because social media is evil, but because constant comparison exhausts. Thirdly, start asking yourself different questions. Instead of how can I become better, ask what do I really want. Instead of what should I do, what interests me. Instead of how does this look, how do I feel about this. Fourth, find your own criteria for success. Not those dictated by society, but those that make sense to you personally. Maybe for you success is healthy relationships, or the opportunity to do what you love, or simply inner peace. Most importantly, understand that you're already good enough. Not perfect, not flawless, but good enough to deserve love, respect, and happiness. Right now, as you are, you've reached the end, and that already says a lot. Something inside you is ready for change, not for another attempt to become perfect, but for something deeper, returning to your true self. This won't be easy. The whole world around you will try to convince you that you're not good enough. Advertising, social media, even close people might pressure you to meet some standards. But now you know the truth. The perfect life doesn't exist. Only your life exists, with all its imperfections, contradictions, and beautiful moments. You don't need to fix it. You need to live it. You don't need to improve yourself. You need to accept yourself. You don't need to chase others' ideals. You need to create your own values. Start today. Not with big changes, not with revolutionary decisions. Start with a simple question. What do I really want right now? And listen to the answer. Your own answer, not the one others expect from you. If this video touched you, share it. Not for likes, not for the algorithm, but because maybe someone else needs a reminder that they're already good enough. And if you're ready to stop chasing the perfect life and start living your real life, write in the comments. I am good enough. Now turn off your phone. Sit in silence. And for the first time in a long while, just be with yourself, without plans for improvement. Just be.